Hey guys, so I wanted to make this video because I had some experiences within the past like 8 months or so that have taught me my listening skills that I thought were like here, or actually more like right here, despite the fact that I never focus on my listening. Either I don't have time or my background's just too loud so I can't hear anyways. So it really kind of seems like a moot point for me or whatever, like I can never get good at listening. So where is my listening level before we keep going? After about a year of study, I tried taking I think it was actually more like 6 months. I tried taking the mock topic 1 exam and I gave up after like 3 or 4 questions because I had no idea what they were saying. It was so hard. Well, December of 2021, so like after 3.5 years of study, I tried taking it and there was so much time between like me answering the question and the next question coming. I got bored and I started to lose focus, so I started to watch TV. I was watching Netflix in the background. I made 100% on this mock exam. So that's how much my listening increased over my first 3.5 years of study, despite the fact that I never focus on my listening. I don't even have time to watch dramas, so what do I do? Oh yeah, I also wanted to talk about I had a tutoring experience. Now this is the number one thing that I want to tell you guys about, because we all think we can't hear well because we can't follow along in a drama, right? Well, face-to-face conversation is easier than a drama, or even voice notes. Even if you send voice notes and you're like, oh my god, this is so hard. When you have a face-to-face conversation, you can watch their mouth and see like how they're forming the words. So this may not work so well because of COVID, because of masks. But there's body language, and it's so much easier. Like I had 3 tutoring sessions as part of a trial with Safe Speaking. Those are the only ones I've done because she really embarrassed me unintentionally, and I've never done another tutoring session. But we talked for 24 minutes and pure Korean. And the only reason she used English is because I understood her. I just didn't understand how she wanted me to respond because I never had tutoring. So I thought she'd be like, here's how you get from A to B. Now you tell me how to get from B to C. And it wasn't like that. So it took me off guard. It just took me off guard. So I was like, wait, what? And she thought I couldn't understand her. So she spoke English for the first time after 24 minutes. And it's just because I had context to go off of, her body language to go off of, because it was a video chat. It is 10 times easier speaking face-to-face than even just voice notes. So do not stress that you can't understand a drama. You may understand an actual Korean. Now, back to how I made this progress. So the number one thing, and probably the main thing that has helped me that I do, is I listen to Korean music like all the time. When I'm in my car, when I'm working, when I'm cleaning my house, when I'm just bored and laying around my house. Like I always listen to Korean music, and it's not just that. I have this playlist that I made when I started learning Korean, and I've added some songs to it that I found catchy throughout my years of study, but I listen to that same playlist over and over and over, like the same songs. I think part of what helps is that I translate at least the chorus or like some catchy part of the song. So this helps with your vocabulary because you hear it over and over again, and that's how you pick up vocabulary. You just repetition. That's how you learn it. Flashcards help short term, but long term I feel like you just have to hear it and experience it over and over and over again. So that helps with your vocabulary. But it also makes it to where you're familiar with these little bits of the song, so like you can actually understand what they're saying. And then as you listen to the song over and over and over, you catch yourself understanding more and more of the song. So that's the main thing I do, and I feel like it did help that it was the same songs over and over, not just constant new songs that I never got a chance to familiarize myself with. The reason for this is because even if you don't understand what is being said, you are still subconsciously familiarizing yourself with like the sounds of the language. You're becoming more comfortable with it. And as you get more comfortable with it, you understand more. This is the same for like a drama. If you play dramas in the background all the time, the same thing. You will pick up on the sound subconsciously, even though you don't actively notice, you don't even understand it, but it still helps. Another thing I do is that I listen to lessons that I already know the material to. Like there's some TTMIK lessons on like YouTube for like 의리가 없어. I actually had this app, it was CoreLink, and looking back I actually don't know if it was legal or not, but they like downloaded some of their lessons on there. I only listened to like 3 or 4 back in 2019. I haven't listened to a single one since, although they do have like listening tests that they post on their YouTube channel, and I do listen to those. I just haven't listened to a grammar lesson from them, but the lessons I listened to I was familiar with. This helps you because even if you don't understand what they said the first time, when they give you the English translation and then repeat it, you'll pick up on it because you will expect the vocabulary and you'll be like, oh, so that's what that word sounds like when it's spoken out loud. It's different than I pictured it in my head. I also have some audiobooks I can link in the description from the Google Play Store where it's the same thing. She teaches these phrases like take 3 pills a day 30 minutes after your meals, those kind of phrases. And even if I don't understand the phrase, I understood her English, and when she repeated it, I caught up on the little bits that I didn't fill in the first time. So listening to the content you are already familiar with is helpful because the second time you hear it, you'll be able to hear the whole sentence and you'll be like, so that's what that sounds like when it's said out loud. The other thing I do, I have a hard time watching dramas because it drives me nuts to leave off in the middle of an episode. Like, I have to finish the episode, and then of course you want to watch the next episode because of cliffhanger. So what I do is I started watching like game shows. Now when I say this, I started watching South Korean foreigners. It was either late 2019 or early 2020. I've only watched 4 full episodes. So when I say I watch this, I don't mean I watch it all the time. I hardly watch it. But there's enough captioning that you can tell what's going on even if you don't understand what they're saying, so you can still enjoy it. But I've caught myself, like, as episodes go on, because like a lot of time goes between, like, I watch one episode and then like months pass and I watch the second episode. And in that time, I noticed myself being able to understand more the second time around than I did the first time around. Another show I really like to watch is Our Body X-Files. This one is super good because it has helpful vocabulary, like words you will actually need to say in your day-to-day life. And it's basically has these little scenarios where like a kid gets a splinter and they do everything that you shouldn't do, and then they review the footage and they're like, what should you have done differently? And they teach you like how you should remove the splinter, but there's enough captioning on that show that you can understand what's going on, even though you can't understand what they're saying. But basically, just the more you listen to stuff, even if you do not understand it at all whatsoever, it is actually helping you, because you are subconsciously becoming familiar with the sounds. And now that Our Body X-Files, I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes. And then Capsule Boy, I've only watched 2. But this is the one I like to really try to focus on my listening when I do actively study, because there is no captioning. So I have to like actually try to hear what they're saying. Anyways, I feel like this was a stupidly long video to tell you that even though you don't understand what you're listening to, keep listening to it, because it is helping you even though you don't realize it. And eventually you will come to a point in your life like I did. Like, it took me 3 years to come to a point in my life where I was like, oh my god, I can actually understand a little bit of speaking. So just keep going and don't give up and just keep listening. A couple of apps worth mentioning that weren't relevant to my increasing my listening ability and doing better on the mock topic 1, because I didn't start using them until after that, is Pimsleur and HiLocal. So Pimsleur I've been actually using for my Japanese, and I just recently started using it to brush up on my Korean. It has like an asked and answer type format, so they have this sample dialogue and then they break down what was said in this dialogue and how can you say this for yourself, and then they'll tell you, so you're at your friend's house, ask her, do you want some tea? And you have to think, okay, how do I ask her if she wants some tea? And then you play the friend and you have to answer, yes I do, or no I do not. So this helps with the asked and answered, that when you don't have a native to practice with, you're missing this back and forth, and this simulates that, so that's helpful. HiLocal is an app where you can use natives, but also just other students that are learning. It's basically, you join a table, and this table is basically a voice chat, a group voice chat, and you have teachers on HiLocal that are teaching grammar points. So it can be helpful just to practice like your conversation speaking with other natives that are on there, or just other students that are more advanced than you. So, bye guys.